World of Goo is a strange game at first glance. When you first look at it, it's a cute little indie puzzler about getting a certain amount of living goo balls into a pipe. What's the point of getting these little goo balls into these pipes, you might ask? Well, play the game and you'll find out. Created by the two-man team at 2D Boy and released on October 13th, 2008 for the PC and 6 other platforms, World of Goo is a physics-based puzzler taking place on a planet populated by goo balls of different types, which are collected by a corporation to make different products and are introduced throughout the game. The physics engine works fine, although the game has some uneven difficulty problems that could be caused by the engine, especially once the game introduces goo balls that function as balloons. I feel that these balls were given too little weight, leading them to floating just a bit higher. And right into spikes, starting a chain reaction that makes you start the level again. This scenario happens quite often in a game that, at times, requires split-second decisions, and just make the fairly bland and unvaried gameplay all the more frustrating. Yes, the different goo ball types shake things up a bit, but it's just not enough. The frustrating gameplay and uneven difficulty spikes make the game more of, I have to get from point A to point B, than wanting to continue on to see how the story plays out. Which is somewhat of a shame, considering the writing in this game is extremely well done. The everything in moderation story explained through pre-rendered cutscenes and the signs left behind by the ever-present, self-aware character of the sign painter takes a really sad turn during the final chapter, and while I won't spoil anything, you will never look at email the same way again. The goo balls are written as curious, naive, and adventurous, like toddlers released into the world. The goo balls do not speak, but the writers wrote the script in such a way that they don't have to. It's also a shame that the gameplay is at times frustrating because the soundtrack in this game is amazing, and every music piece on the soundtrack is played throughout the game. The music is, in my opinion, the best part about this game. Yes, some of the songs are just the same song at different speeds, but the music constantly fits the levels so well that this relatively minor nitpick is extremely easy to overlook. What makes it even more amazing is that most of the music was made stomp style, using different household objects as instruments. The music is some of the best game music ever, even besting some Hollywood scores that used a full orchestra. The cartoon-like visuals are great, drawn in the style of Dr. Seuss books, adding to the childlike nature of the goo balls. There are no major graphical glitches, and the game runs well, even on low-end PC hardware. The point at which this game falters the most is the replayability. There is very little to no replayability beyond the main story in this game. The World of Goo Corporation minigame, in which extra goo balls are used to construct a tower, is utterly useless and an excuse to shoehorn in online capability. In conclusion, World of Goo is indeed worth your time and your money. It is a stellar debut for 2D Boy, and I am excited to see what they do in the future. However, the game is not without flaws, namely some tweaks to the physics engine, the lack of replayability,